Okay, I'm going to share with everyone on how to write on the non-traditional surfaces. Today, I'm going to do a demo on how to write on agate, on the acrylic board, and also on leather, as well as on the uneven or non-flat surfaces like paper, such as bottle, boxes, it could be anything. So how to overcomes on how to write on this material. Okay, I'm going to show you guys on what are the materials or tools that I'll be using. So I'm going to use my oblique holder, and my nibs of selections is my Han 99. When you want to write on non-traditional surface, it's best that we go or we opt for a more flexible nib. You can go for Han 101, it would great. Or for those beginner who feels that, when they use too softer or flexible nib, they can't control, I would suggest you go for the Brow Steno or Hero 40. So, and as for the ink, the best ink that to work with is oil-based ink or acrylic ink. So yes, my selections of ink will be definitely Dr. P.H. Martin. It comes in various colors, and my best to go ink from Dr. P.H. Martin is the copper plate gold or bronze, because bronze and gold always match in any of the color or surfaces. So talking about the durability of the ink, right, I can show you the one that I have here. Okay. This one I wrote, I think, in last year, December in 2019. And this one I wrote using the Dr. P.H. Martin copper plate gold. And this is without any coating, and it works and it lasts so good. Unless you take a very sharp thing and scratch it, then the ink will come off. Otherwise, it stays quite okay. I actually also tried using gouache, but the thing is, it's not as durable as the acrylic ink by Dr. P.H. Martin, because this one is, by one scratch, it's easily come off. So yes, it's not recommended for you to use gouache if you want it to be, lasting. So I'm going to choose to write, and I'm going to use Dr. P.H. Martin white for the demo. Again, before you using it, you have to clean it to sort of remove the oil coating, that comes from your hand or your, how they packed it. So you do have to wipe it, the surfaces with the, you can use alcohol wipe to wipe the surface to clean it, or my best that I have that I use a lot is the Zippo lighter fluid. It works so well to clean even, in any surfaces, especially acrylic or agate stone. So it's easily clean. It's very, very clean with this Zippo. So if you can't get Zippo, you can actually just clean those with alcohol wipes that you can get it from any pharmacies. All right. So before that, you can take any tissue, wet tissue, or whatsoever that you have. Just apply a little bit. And then you just, wipe it on it. And then using the dry tissue, dry cotton, kitchen towel. Yeah, just write it and then wipe it dry. And then you can easily dip your ink and write on it. So, okay, let me show you with the one without wiping. You see, it's very very hard for the ink to flow onto the agate because I believe there's an oil coating on these agates. Where else, if you clean it, the other color, maybe because my white ink is very, very thick, that's why it's very, very hard to flow. So I'm gonna change to use my BH Martin sequence blue because it's not so thick compared to the white one. Okay, like this. So this one is from liquid acrylic ink. You can also use it on the writing on the agate stones. So not necessary to be Dr. PH Martin brand. You can find any acrylic ink that is available. But it's just that for me, I find it that Dr. PH Martin can read, it's very durable. So that's why I always stick to it. Otherwise, you can use something like Liquitex, as long it's oil-based and acrylic ink. You know, sometimes PH Martin can be very, very thick when it's almost finishing, or you let it be in a bottle for a very long time, especially like this white color Dr. PH Martin. To water it down a little bit, I put the gum arabic, just a little bit, like probably 1 to 3 drops of gum arabic, just to, you know, have it make your ink easily flow. Yeah, but writing on agate takes patience because you can't be nervous, and to be honest, it's always very, very difficult to get on the first flow of the ink on the agate. So yeah, but it's when it's you know, done, it would just very beautiful. And it's so for me, I feel it's very personal. Yes. So let me try again on second one. Okay, not so well. I think I didn't clean it properly, but yeah, if you don't clean your nibs, your surface with alcohol wipes or even the Zippo fluid, you will have, although you can write on it, but your hairline will come out something like it's, how to say, it's half stick, half not stick. So yeah, it looks very not really, really nice. It's a bit shaky. Yeah, so compared to the one that you really clean it, and once the ink flow, it flow so much better compared to this one. So always clean your agate surface. I don't draw guidelines on agate, but if you need to, I would suggest you to use the empty tape. All right, probably I show you guys on the next item, which is the acrylic. Acrylic board is more or less the same as agate because it's slippery. So once you can write on agate, you definitely can write on acrylic. It's just that when it's acrylic, I like to always apply the acrylic paint first before I wrote anything, so that it gives not so plain kind of you know, effect. So yes, so how to do the guideline on these kind of material is I'm using the very, very thin entity. I'll use this to draw my guidelines. I will take any white color pencil. Okay, so this. And I can show you the one that I wrote. This is the one that I wrote on live during the event where I have to actually write those guest names on the spot using, this one I'm using Dr. Page Martin bronze, and it works, it lasts. And now nobody can take your handbag because it's your initial. It might be the same, but it's yours with the initial. The one here that I got from my previous client, where they actually make the handbags out of this leather. So they gave me sample to work on. And I also have another one, I think it's bison leather. Yeah, this one I'm writing using Han 101 at the time with Dr. Page Martin Black. It works really, really well. And it lasts there.
We have a couple of questions. When you are
Yes.
writing on leather, does the nib pierce through? And then, do you seal the work after you have done?
Okay.
Do you need to put any kind of sealant on it?
Okay. The nibs, right? That's why I suggest we to use more flexible nib, so that less pressure involved, and you will not tear off the leather or the surfaces. As for the coating, I usually don't coat my work. I don't apply anything on to make it last long. I will just let it be, and thankfully it's all work fine. So with the ink that I'm using, which is Dr. Page Martin ink, is just work very, very well. I also have another brand that I'm using. It's by Delaroni. If you cannot get Dr. Page Martin, you can also get the one from Delaroni, acrylic artist ink. It's also worked very, very well. So yeah. And it
Okay.
doesn't have to have the coating to make it last, because
Do
it's
you,
sort of like sit in.
do you need to do anything to prepare the leather before you
No,
write?
for
Oh,
leather, mostly it's just fine. You don't have to prepare, like wipe it off or anything with alcohol wipe. But if you feel that you need like a clean surface, you always can wipe it off first. So I'm going to show you guys. This is I'm using Delaroni ink.
mm.
Um, it's also a very good ink to work with, especially on those non-traditional surfaces. The thing about leather is very, very easy to work with because it's flat. So, and it's not slippery. You make your thin stroke become thick stroke by applying on another color, or you just did like a shadow each. Make sure that just let it be for a while until the wet ink dry on its own.
We have a question about if a huge ink blob or ink spill falls onto the leather, will it absorb? The leather will absorb, and then how do you remove it quickly?
Oh, no, the thing about leather, it doesn't absorb quickly as paper. So best is you quickly wipe it. Let's say it's just drop like that. You just like take a wet tissue or anything, just quickly wipe it off. And yeah, it won't stain there.
Normally, when you write on handbags and all that, do you have a test piece of leather that you can try on?
Yeah, for this client that request me to write on a leather handbag, they actually give me the leather material like a week before, so that I familiarize with the texture, because leather sometimes it comes in very very smooth surface, which is much better because it's easier. But when it comes to like a texture leather, you can see this compared to, let me get another type of leather that I have. Okay, this one is actually the Rhodia pad. The leather surface is very very different. This one is actually very clean, very smooth, but this one is with more texture. So yeah, one thing when you write on texture surfaces, your paper, okay, when you apply for your hairline, you don't even have to press on the leather itself. You just need to make sure that it touches the, what's the paper? It touches the as long that the nibs touches slightly the leather or the surface, and you just need to glide it without any pressure at all. Just make sure that you just glide it and hold your pen very very lightly. You don't want to apply any other pressure on it. And also when you're writing on the texture paper, before you make any thicker stroke for your flourishing or something like this, I'll advise that you do your hairline first. Okay, then only you decide to add it later, because the reason is because sometimes when you do hairline, the ink somehow, when you turn that way, it gives you a thicker stroke by itself, because by the ink flow, correct? So if you already from here, you already do your thick stroke, and then when you turn here another thick stroke, your focus for your artwork is already sort of like disturbed. There's too much attention there. So I suggest draw all the hairline first, or let it be the thicker stroke by the ink flow itself created, then only safe for you to add any thicker stroke at the end of your work. Yeah, it's sort of like safe, because you don't want to have too much of thick stroke on your artwork, because yeah, it wouldn't look nice. And the tips also is when you find that your line sometimes very crooked, you can actually cover it with the jewel. So it's like close your imperfection.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
So
how long does it take for the ink to dry normally?
um, for I realized for Dr. P.H. Martin or for the gold version, it's actually for this liquid tag and Dr. P.H. Martin, it quite instantly, I would say. Not you don't have to have like 1 hour, probably max. You can just let it be like 30 minutes to be safe or 15 minutes. But the thing with Roni, right? I find their ink is, although it's acrylic, same base, I find that their ink is more slightly watery compared to this version. So yes, this one really need time for it to dry. So really, you can see it's still very wet. Sometime when you deal with the clients on different material, always try to explain. Yeah, this what the things that I learned. Sometimes they want calligraphy. Yes, it looks nice using the pointed pen and stuff, but it doesn't. It's not an easy way to work with. So I suggest you research your material, the tools, you know best your material, and explain to the client, okay, why I cannot give them on the spot, and what you need, what assistance that you need during the event. I think you should let your clients know about it, especially when you're dealing with the wet ink. Yes, because to avoid any frustrations from the guest and also your client. Because I have experience, even though we told them that it's wet ink, it need to be dry. The only concern is for him, right? Will this last? Will this wipe off?
How about foul leather, fake leather?
Fake leather, you can. Oh yes, I do work on it before. I bought the leather from Daiso. Yeah, it works the same. Yeah, it's even it's PVC kind of leather or a real leather. It actually works the same. Yeah. Next, I can show you on the canvas as well. Thing about canvas, you need a lot of passion. Okay, so if you find that your ink is very thick and it's very hard to flow, you can actually, dip your front tip with water. It helps the ink to flow better on canvas.
Syuhada, do you think that a thinner ink might spread on the canvas?
Uh, for It depends on what type of canvas you're using. Roughly, usually, right, the one that I work with, it's very thick. Um, it's like kind of like tote bag kind of canvas, and it works just fine. It doesn't really wet, so it doesn't really absorb your ink so quickly. And also because of the ink that you're using, because usually all this acrylic ink, all base ink, they tend to sort of like stay at the surfaces for a while before it quickly go down to the fabric. But the things that you need to be careful when you're writing on canvas is there is no room for mistake.
Yeah.
Because you cannot wipe off the ink once you start writing. So if it's suddenly flick on the, the the fabric, so you kind of like to come up with certain design snowflake. That's a trick. Don't get so upset about it, especially when you do a live job. You have to figure out like the way to cover up your mistake. So you can do like a snowflake immediately if you accidentally, you know, spoil or stain your work. Ta-da! So it's safe. It's designed. And of course, the thing about fabric is not like all those agates or acrylic board where you cannot draw or draft your work. The thing is, with fabric, you can always draft it first. That is why there is no room to mistake the moment you apply the ink. But the best thing about it, you can always draft it, so you wouldn't do any much. I mean, more mistake. That's how I survive. Is the wood. Bad of wood, I always paint the wood. Yeah, you shall like the wood. The moment if it shellacs, right, it's already have like a thin surface, thin layer of like a, I would say like plastic-ish or something that is coating like our nail polish kind of coating. Yeah, it's allowed the inks to flow very smoothly. Because if you are using sort of like a normal wood, if you don't coat with this, the wood will actually bleed because it sort of like absorb your ink. When it comes to wood, always shellac it first so that you have one layer, and then you write on it. And after that, if you want it to sort of like cover or coat it, you can always coat it with the clear spray. Yeah, clear spray. It's called clear spray.
Okay, is there a nib recommendation for most surfaces? I see you are using mainly the hand for everything.
Yeah. Okay, like I said earlier, for writing on non-traditional um, um, surfaces, best for you to go for a more flexible nib because you need less pressure, but you want the thicker stroke to be really wide open when you apply a very small pressure. So only flexible nib can do so. So you can look for like Han 101, Han 99, because I mainly use my Han 99 to write on all the surfaces. And also you can actually try to get this brow steno. It also works well as long it's flexible, not so stiff like the G nips range. Because usually G nip is very very stiff, I would say, and you need a lot of pressure with that nibs, which is not good for your non-traditional surfaces. So yeah, I'm not recommending those. Go for more flexible one. Okay. And lastly, but not least, I want to show on how are we going to write on the uneven spaces. So I'm going to write something on this toner that I have. So you can write on your mugs, on your makeup brand or anything, or even on the glass, as long that it gives you a sort of like matte kind of finishing, then you can actually, write on it. So I did once one event which I had to write on the glass flute, the wine flute. So I actually built myself, actually built myself a mold. Like a mold for me to place those bottle so that it won't move, and also give me like space for me to write that is easily to write, because the moment you're writing, the moment something that is in is not flat, and you always write on the, if you're writing on the flat surfaces, your bottle or anything will roll. So best is if you have a mold on it so that you can place it so that it won't move. Okay, because the moment you move, it actually affect your writing a lot. Okay, and then when you're writing on this mold, right, you need to find sort of like a padding here so that your hand will be slightly higher than the bottle surface. So you have the very um, comfortable zone to write. I'm not sure. Let me. I will always have like a small pillow or this bean pillow. Okay, so that I can put my hand on it. So that my level is the same as a bottle. And to write, to write for the guideline, right, is either you use the just now method where you place your empty tape to draw your guideline, or if you have this laser pointer, so it gives you the line itself so that you don't have to draw any line. You just need to write on it. So again, since it's smooth surfaces, always prepare by wipe it off with the alcohol wipe or the liquid, Zippo liquid. Make sure you have your ink. Yeah, so always sort of like if you're writing on the bottle, especially, try to get yourself a mold. Actually, this one come from this packaging that we got, or we have the polystyrene box that someone want to throw it away. You can actually take those and build your sort of like a mold for your place to put your items to be calligraphed. Yeah, so it's really help. Once you have it doesn't really, it won't move. It only move when you move it. So it's like it's actually help you to control each of your stroke, because it's really not easy to write probably on those spaces. Yeah, that's actually really help. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The last one, like the one I did before, this one is on the liquor box. I'm sure you can see me. Put it away first. Yeah. Where the bug is very, it's actually on the curved side. Zoom up a little. Yes, you can actually decorate your yeah, you don't need extra wrapping for it. Just draw your message instantly, and it'll be a perfect gift already. So how I drew this is how I get the hairline. The guideline is I'm using the same way that I show you all just now, by having this empty tape, wrap it where and most importantly is you have to able to picture where is your X height. So the moment you can picture your X height, you can draw or tape all this empty tape, you are way ready to write at any way or at any surfaces. You have your X height. Always make sure that it doesn't move. So that's why you need the mold. Okay. When you remove the line using that eraser, please don't rub it so hard, because I'm scared that your ink is not fully wet, dry, and then it like gets smudged. So I will only erase those lines usually the next day, because I can confirm it's already dry. Yes, so everyone okay? Can follow?
Yes, it's amazing. So cool. Do you all have questions for Syuhada? Anyone have questions for her?
My
How
God.
long did it take for you to become this good? That's the question. Wow.
Wow. Actually, based on practice, I have been doing this since 2016. Yeah, until today. It's really it's just that it's something that I guess I'm doing accounts very stressful, I would say. This is the only way I channel all the stress into it. And something that, because sometimes you feel that you don't really do well at office. So this is something that I do well of. So it's sort of like give me motivations to survive on the daily. Yeah, 2016 since, yeah. Yeah.
So
By
this,
practice, this is possible. Seriously, this is possible. Yeah, practice will make somehow practice make perfect. Yeah. It's possible because everyone like thinking like, oh no, I'm not going to reach that level, because I don't see myself like years ago like that. And now it's like, I can write using a pointed pen at any surface, and it's possible.
amazing.
It's challenging, but it's fun. Yes.
So
So yeah.
you are not actually, this is not actually your livelihood. This is not
uh,
what you do for a living.
no, I'm doing accounts daily, with the closing, with the audit and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah. So I wish I could one day do this full time, maybe when I retired.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but
yeah.
it's very nice also in a way, to give when you write, you can give to your loved one a very personal. When it comes to writing, because it's personal. I had this class with Anne Elsa the other day. She
Mm.
shared the father um, actually wrote the last letter that he can wrote to the mother, because he
Oh,
had, I think, Parkinson or something. And even though he struggled to write, he still write it. That's how much, when you write, it's there, it's a proof that you can keep. And her message was always appreciate the moment, and appreciate the writing. It could be one day maybe I have Pakistan, I cannot write anymore, but at least I have all this proof in the journal and stuff. So yeah, it's something that don't feel that you're writing very ugly, because we never know. So it's always, um, how to say, live the moment, appreciate your writing, and do not compare to all those great artists, that because they have been practicing for so long. And don't put yourself there. You will build there, but at now just keep practicing and appreciate it. Yeah, keep your progress. So when you look back, you feel very wow. Because I don't keep my writing in 2016. If I can show you, it is so ugly. If I'm looking at it now, I'm like, oh my god, I'm not doing. But that is the progress. And that's what I told my student during the class, like, keep this is your first class, keep your handwriting and compare. Even a month or 3 months later, you can actually write so much better. Yeah, and you feel very happy.
That's a question. How did you get interested in calligraphy?
I'm always interested in art, which I always don't get a chance to do. Yeah, because Asian parents, they will say go for either you do doctorate or accounting, and accounting is the easiest job to find. So yeah, they always have this norms where they say, oh, if you're doing arts, what you're gonna work with, okay, and that kind of thing. So I always actually admire art since I'm small. Always really loved it until in 2016. I actually resigned my job, and I've really nothing to do because I tried to conceive for so long. I can't. So I felt like, oh, maybe I need a career break. So that is how it started. I went for traditional calligraphy, which I have no idea what it is. And for the 3 hour workshop, my hand literally shaking over the nibs, because it's wow, it's hard. It's not just writing, it's the stroke. And then from there, I fell in love with it. I feel like, you know, you're not writing ABC. You're writing all those strokes. It's like a puzzle, entrance row, oval. Join it together, it become A, it become B. And then you add your additional oval, it become flourishing. And the moment you have a straight line, you want to add any curve on it, put your universal line of beauty, then you got your curve. You can flourish very, very well. So yeah, that's the make me want to learn more and learn more. I am like a workshop nerd. Like I always want to go to workshop. Although like people asking, isn't that last year already taking Nina for flourishing, and then the same thing next year you are still go for flourishing? It's like I don't know, I can't answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's another question is interesting. Is there one surface that you are afraid of writing on?
One surface I would say, if to like to do it on the event, I'm very scared to write on agate, honestly, with pointed pen. Using a brush marker, then it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? What do you use to coat the wood? I use clear. It's called clear. Clear coat. It's a clear spray. Yes,
One.
yes.
It's a matte lacquer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is it's just a wood lacquer, very cheap. I think it's like $3 or something. Very cheap. It's a wood
Yes,
lacquer with a
yes,
spray. So they have the gloss one and the matte one.
yes.
I
Gloss
the
one
matte
and
one. Thank you so much for sharing. It's
thank you
very,
so
very
much for joining,
nice.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Syuhada.
Dora, for evolve. For doing this.
Oh yeah, of course. It's very exciting. I'm just so glad that I get to do this. I'm just so excited. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really very amazing to see the flourishes growing from under your nip. And it looks so easy, right? It looks so easy, but actually it's not, because we all know how difficult it already on the plain paper on flat table. It's very hard to get those ovals. So, I wanted to ask you, do you use the full arm movement when you're drawing? So it's your arm that's moving, or
Yeah,
not just your wrist, right?
no, I don't use full arm movement. If I use full arm movement, my line will get shaky. So that's why I always, if this is my surface, I will have something else here to make sure that it holds my hand.
Okay, I see. I get it. I get it. Thanks. That's interesting to
Because
know.
it's very, very hard to do with full arm movement. It's
Yeah,
something that's very hard to master, I'd say.
I think, yeah. So, yeah, okay. You're very welcome, everyone. So, thank you so much. Thank you, Syuhada. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you.
I just wanted to tell everyone this story. When I first met Syuhada, I was conducting, no, I was hosting a workshop with Nina in KL, and Syuhada came with a batch of brownies that she for everyone. She
That's
was
how
so
excited I
nice.
am.
She was so sweet. She messaged me and said, "Is it okay if I bring brownies?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And she was the star of the show. Uh, so nice. And I always remember that you have been so generous, so hospitable, and so warm, and
Oh,
so
thank
welcoming. And I'm just so glad to have a friend in you, so far away. We don't get to meet, but I follow you on Instagram. She's by hand arts. Maybe I will type that into the chat. By hand arts. So everyone show some love. Follow her.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
joining. I'm
Okay,
going to
bye bye.
stop the recording.
All
Yeah.
right.